Hey everybody, it's Jenny and I am here today with a scrapbook process layout with the theme of thankful. And I have a few items pulled out that we're going to use from the Pinkfresh Simply the Best collection. I have two 3x4 photos and a sheet of 8.5 by 11 white cardstock. Now I'm showing you the little tags and then some of the die cuts that I pulled out already so that you didn't have to look through every single die cut that I thought would go with my layout. Now the theme is thankful, and never one time am I going to use the word thankful on this layout. Now, the point is that I wanted to invoke the feeling when I looked at this layout myself of overwhelming gratitude. And so I wanted to create a page that when I looked at it, I just felt that's what I thought of. And so this is going to be that layout. I'm starting with the base being this 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I'm starting with two 3x4 photos that I printed on my Canon selfie printer. I used the Pinkfresh app to print them both on one 4x6-ish photo. And I say ish because they're not true 4x6s since they're digital prints, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to mat them on white cardstock, just eyeballing it, but I'm cool with that. Again, I don't expect perfection. I expect to have a lot of fun and document some memories and enjoy not only the process, but the end result. Anything, that's the goal, nothing more. All right, so now when I laid these two photos down, I realized, you know what? They're really honestly too big. So I decided I could have reprinted them. I could have reprinted them to 2x3 and gone on. But I decided what I was going to do instead was I was just going to cut out the ancillary items in this photo of myself, my friend's daughter, and the Yeti. Oh, it's just so funny. It was so much fun. And so I trimmed the photo down to 2x3 and it still invokes the same memories. It tells the same stories and it does a little bit better of space management on my 8.5 by 11 page. Now I'm going to fill this bad boy up with all of the words and phrases and beauty that invoke the feeling of thankfulness for me surrounding this one event. And so looking at this, it just fills me up. I am selecting a wide variety of phrases, but also shapes and colors and filling in the blanks. So I stacked my photos, although they are a little off. They're not completely on top of each other. And then I also put that little pocket next to it so that I could put my journaling on the tag inside the pocket. And now I'm simply building around it in a linear fashion, filling the spaces. There is some overlapping, so you can see, like, for example, in the upper left-hand corner, we have the leaf behind that little space. And I'm going to begin adhering. So I'll talk you through this. So for example, I didn't need the whole leaf to be showing. The leaf isn't the highlight. I wanted the greenery. We were up in the mountains, and so there's lots of pine trees, but I don't have any pine trees. But I like what the leaf, it gives some greenery and it's beautiful. And I love that little circle. It also gives the green and it says stay wild, and it gives that feeling of the mountains and the wilderness. And we were not in the wilderness. We stayed in a very lovely cabin, but you get the idea of going to the mountains and the wild factor. I loved the colors and bringing in a lot of blue and green for the mountains. I loved bringing in the phrases of friends. And then again, down here at the bottom, the leaves, because again, it was fall. So we're not using fall colors, but we are still bringing in leaf imagery so that brings in the fall aspect, but it also brings in the nature aspect. I'm using my wet glue for all of these smaller little shapes. It's just so much easier to get them adhered and down on the page than it is to use my big old ATG gun. Though it's wonderful for big photos, but for little teeny tiny pieces, you know what? I'm just going to use the wet glue and just be very, very sparing, getting a nice thin layer on there so that it doesn't warp the page. But I'm not going to lie, this is a nice heavy cardstock, so it's really not going to warp anyway. So I'm doing my best to adhere just on little corners and bits and pieces for the things that are overlapping. That way I can just pick up the big piece. So for example, that big pocket that has the tag in it, I can just pick up the big tag and then adhere the back. And you can see right there, it pulled those tags up too. So then the whole thing is down. Same thing right here. I'm pulling up the photo. And then all of the things that are layered on top of it just come right with it. And then it all gets adhered down at the page. So this sort of helps me lay things out, get an idea of how I want it, and then be able to stick it down exactly as it was. Now this layout, I am telling you what, I am looking at it and I feel the gratitude and the thankfulness for this particular event with these particular people. It is overwhelming, and that is exactly what I wanted to create with this particular layout. So I absolutely could have gone with a red and orange and yellow, autumnal color palette with leaves and the word grateful and thankful all over it. But I decided to do something a little bit different and really just pack in the overwhelming support system for photos that invoked these feelings, and then write some journaling down to make sure that that was never forgotten for this particular layout. I hope that this helps you document some of your gratitude and thankfulness this season and beyond. And I hope you enjoyed this layout. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the box below and I will do my very best to get back to you. Thanks so much and make it a great day.